What if I told you that the exact life you're living right now, every relationship, every dollar in your pocket, every ache in your body, began as a single thought you repeated so many times you forgot you were even thinking it? That's the shocking truth most people never confront. Your mind is not a passive observer of your life. It is the architect. Every thought you think is a brick, and over months and years, those bricks build either a palace or a prison. The frightening part is that most people are building prisons without knowing it, because they never questioned the thought in the first place. They assume their thoughts are just how things are. I'm not good enough. Money is hard to come by. Love always leaves. And they repeat these sentences internally thousands of times a day. The subconscious mind doesn't judge whether a thought is true. It simply accepts repetition as instruction and gets to work manifesting it. This means the future is not something that happens to you. It is something you are constructing sentence by sentence in the quiet space between your ears. The moment you accept this, you can never again blame the outside world for your circumstances, because you'll see the outside world for what it truly is: a mirror, faithfully reflecting back the thoughts you've been feeding it day after day, without pause. Here's something that will unsettle you. Your past has zero power over your future. None. The only moment that ever creates anything is this one, right now, as you read these words. Most people live as emotional prisoners of a memory, a rejection from 10 years ago, a failure from childhood, replaying it like a broken record and calling it who I am. But the past is dead. It exists only as a thought you choose to keep resurrecting in the present. The pain you feel about yesterday is not coming from yesterday. It's coming from the thought you're thinking about yesterday, right now, in this second. This is liberating and terrifying at the same time. Liberating because it means you can start fresh in this exact instant. Terrifying because it means you no longer have an excuse. You cannot say, I'll change when things get better, or I'll be happy when that situation resolves, because the only point where change is even possible is the present moment, not tomorrow, not after the apology you're waiting for. Now, every second you spend dwelling in old pain is a second stolen from building the future you claim you want. The past had its moment. It already used it. This moment is yours, and what you decide to think, feel, and believe right now is quietly writing the next chapter of your life before you've even lived it. Now, here's the part that upsets people the most. Almost every problem in your life, money struggles, toxic relationships, chronic illness, traces back to one missing ingredient, and it is not intelligence, luck, or effort. It's love. Specifically, love for yourself. Most of us were taught that self-love is vanity or selfishness, so we starve ourselves of it our whole lives while pouring love onto everyone else, wondering why we feel empty. But self-love isn't arrogance. It's the foundation that everything else is built on. When you don't approve of yourself, you unconsciously attract people who don't approve of you either. When you criticize your own body, your own mind quietly works against your own healing. When you believe you don't deserve abundance, you sabotage opportunities the moment they arrive, not because you're unlucky, but because your inner belief refuses to let outer reality contradict it. This is why some people win the lottery and lose it all within a year. Their bank account changed, but their self-worth didn't, so their life simply corrected itself back to what they secretly believed they deserved. The shocking implication is this: you cannot out-earn, out-hustle, or out-achieve a poor relationship with yourself. Self-love is not the reward you get after you fix your life. It is the tool you use to fix it. Look in the mirror today and say, I approve of myself, and watch how uncomfortable and how necessary those 5 words feel. What if the words you casually mutter to yourself every single day are actual commands being programmed into your future, whether you intend them to be or not? I'm so stupid. I never catch a break. Nothing good happens to me. These aren't harmless expressions, they are affirmations, and the subconscious mind is always listening, always obeying, always building evidence to prove you right. Most people only think of affirmations as the sweet, positive statements written on posters, but the truth is far more serious. You have been affirming your whole life, mostly unconsciously, mostly negatively. Every complaint is a prayer for more to complain about. Every "this always happens to me" is a request placed into the universe of your own mind for the pattern to continue. The frightening precision of this system is that it does not distinguish between a thought spoken in jest and one spoken in pain. Repetition is repetition. This is why changing your future doesn't require a miracle. It requires vigilance. You must catch yourself mid-sentence and interrupt the pattern deliberately, replacing "I can't afford it" with "I am open to new avenues of abundance," replacing "nobody loves me" with "I am worthy of deep and fulfilling love." It will feel fake at first, even foolish. That discomfort is simply the sound of an old program being overwritten by a new one, and that overwrite is the exact mechanism by which your future begins to change shape. Brace yourself for this one, because it challenges everything we're taught about the body. Your body is constantly listening to your thoughts, and it responds accordingly. Tension you carry in your shoulders may be the physical residue of thoughts about burden and responsibility. A stomach in knots may be reacting to fear you've refused to acknowledge consciously. This is not mystical nonsense. It's the simple recognition that the mind and body are not two separate systems having a conversation. They are one continuous system, and thought is the language that runs through both. When you rehearse resentment for years, the body eventually manifests that stored emotion somewhere. Because emotion that isn't released doesn't just vanish, it has to go somewhere. This doesn't mean illness is a personal failure or something to feel shame about. It means the body is intelligent, and it is always trying to bring buried emotional patterns to the surface so they can finally be healed rather than suppressed. When you begin treating symptoms not as enemies but as messengers, an entirely new kind of healing becomes available, one that works alongside medicine rather than instead of it. Ask your body what it's trying to tell you instead of only asking how to make the discomfort disappear. The most shocking part isn't that thoughts can affect the body. It's how long we go through life assuming the two have nothing to do with each other at all. Finally, here is the note that will free you the most, and also demand the most from you. Nothing new can enter your future while you're still gripping tightly to the pain of your past, and that grip has a name. It's called unforgiveness. We tell ourselves that holding on to resentment somehow punishes the person who hurt us. But in truth, that person is usually living their life completely unaware, while we are the ones lying awake at night, replaying the wound, keeping the wound fresh with our own thoughts. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as saying, "What happened was okay." It isn't that at all. Forgiveness is the decision to stop paying rent daily in your own mind to an event that has already ended. Every grudge you carry is a locked door in your own future, and you are the only one holding the key, refusing to turn it. This is uncomfortable to hear because it removes the comfort of being the victim and replaces it with the responsibility of being the one who must release it. But the moment you genuinely let go, not for their sake, but for the sake of your own future, you free up an enormous amount of mental and emotional energy that was previously spent guarding old wounds. That energy doesn't disappear. It gets redirected into building the very future you say you want. Forgiveness, then, isn't weakness. It is the final, most courageous act of taking your future back into your own hands. What if I told you that right now, in this very second, you are silently writing the next 10 years of your life, using nothing but the sentences running through your own mind? What if the job you didn't get, the relationship that fell apart, the illness that won't heal, the money that never seems to stay? What if none of that was random? What if it was all an echo of a thought you repeated so many times you stopped noticing you were even thinking it? Stay with me for the next few minutes, because by the end of this, you will never again be able to say your life just happened to you. You will know, without a doubt, that you have been the author all along. And more importantly, you'll know exactly how to rewrite the next page. Let's begin. What if every thought you think today is a seed you won't see bloom for another 5 years? That is the truth we spend our whole lives avoiding because it's far easier to blame the economy, our parents, our luck, or our timing than to admit that our own mind has been quietly designing the very life we complain about. Every thought is a brick. Repeat it enough, and you don't just believe it, you build with it. A house, a prison, a palace. Your mind doesn't care which. It simply obeys repetition. Here is what makes this so urgent. The only moment any of this can be changed is right now, not tomorrow, not after the apology arrives, not once the money situation improves. The past has no power except the power you hand it every time you replay it in the present. Your pain about yesterday isn't coming from yesterday. It's coming from the thought about yesterday you're choosing to think today. That means the past had its turn. This moment is yours, and what you feed it right now becomes tomorrow's harvest. And underneath every struggle, the money, the relationships, the health, sits one missing ingredient nobody wants to admit: love, specifically for yourself. We were taught that self-love is vanity, so we starve ourselves of it and wonder why life feels so hard. But you cannot out-hustle a poor relationship with yourself. When you don't approve of you, life simply agrees. That's why your words matter more than you've ever realized. I never catch a break. Nothing works out for me. These aren't harmless complaints. They are instructions spoken directly to your own subconscious, which cannot tell the difference between a joke and a command. Change the sentence, and eventually you change the evidence life brings you to match it. Your body has been listening this whole time, too. Tension, sickness, exhaustion, so often these are old emotions that were never released, finally demanding to be heard. And nothing new can enter your future while your hands are still clenched around old pain. Forgiveness isn't saying it was okay. It's refusing to keep paying rent in your own mind to a moment that already ended. You were never a victim of your life. You have been its author from the very first page, and the next page is blank, waiting only on what you choose to think, starting now. So if there is one truth to carry out of this room today, let it be this: Your future is not hiding somewhere out there, waiting to be discovered by chance. It is being written, sentence by sentence, inside your own mind in this very moment. You do not need permission to begin again. You do not need the past to apologize first. You do not need to wait until conditions are perfect. All you need is the willingness right now to think one new thought, a kinder one, a braver one, a more loving one, and to repeat it until it becomes as familiar as the old one used to be. Change your thinking today, and you have already begun changing your tomorrow.
Pain is a messenger, not a punishment. Most people are taught to see pain as an enemy, something to numb, avoid, or medicate away as fast as possible. But there is a radically different way to see it. Pain is not attacking you, it is trying to reach you. Every ache, every heartbreak, every sleepless night carries a message from the deepest part of your psyche, a part that has been ignored for too long. When something in your life is off balance, a relationship, a career, a belief you've outgrown, pain is the nervous system's way of screaming what your conscious mind refuses to admit. Shocking as it sounds, the people who suffer the most breakdowns are often the ones closest to a breakthrough, because the psyche will keep turning up the volume of pain until it is finally heard. This means chronic anxiety, repeated failures, or a recurring emotional wound are not random cruelty. They are patterns demanding translation.